Kia ora koutou, welcome to this week's live. This live is especially for the women in business out there. I know a lot of them. I'm a member of a lot of women's business networking groups because, as you'll know if you are one, being in business for yourself, by yourself, can get a bit lonely. You're on your own in the office. There isn't a team around you and lots of people, so it's good to get out there and mix and collaborate. That's what I've been doing this morning. And the reason that I want to talk specifically about women in business is because I've got a real special event coming up next month, specifically aimed at women in business. And I'll tell you a bit about that and where it's come from and why I'm excited about it, why I think it's important. It's a real privileged position to be in. I mean, I find myself, here we are on the verge of a long weekend, and I used to live for the weekend, especially the long ones when I was in the corporate world. And now not so much. Now when I see that there's one day less, next week, I get a little bit disappointed because I love what I do. But there's also a few downsides of being in business for yourself, especially when you have to be the face of your business. And a lot of us, particularly women, find that difficult. We find it difficult to sell ourselves. We find it difficult to value ourselves and therefore charge the right rates. And we find it difficult as well when we compare ourselves to others doing what we do or similar, to feel like we are good enough, to feel like we're making enough ground, to feel like we're building a success of this. And all of this stuff stems back to one thing: our mindset, our self-talk, our self-efficacy, and the value we hold in ourselves. Now, this is interesting because I've been tagged as the imposter syndrome expert since the launch of Like a Girl, and I've run a lot of imposter syndrome workshops, and here for me is where I feel these two things meet in the middle. So our imposter syndrome and the impacts it has on us as women in business. That's what I'm doing next month. It's on the 19th of February. It's at the Dowse Art Museum in the Lower Hutt in Wellington. It's a half-day workshop. We're going to look at all of the theory behind imposter syndrome, the neuroscience behind mindset, but most importantly, the strategies. So when you look at how your own imposter syndrome manifests in your business, whether it is that you struggle to sell yourself, you don't take credit when credit is given, you struggle to accept the accolades, or maybe your prices are too low, or you're envying those around you, whatever it is, however your imposter syndrome manifests for you, this event is all about how to combat that, how to rewire our brains, but most importantly, have some tools and strategies that you can employ to offset this. Because this is something I've been through. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I had to reinvent myself, as we all do when we leave our day jobs and set up our own business. And with that comes a lot of imposter syndrome, comes that, can I do this? Will people pay for my services? Am I worth this? Should I go and get a proper job? All those things that our mind tries to tell us when we're doubting our abilities. So I'm really excited to bring this workshop to Wellington. And the bottom line is, I guess, with this, and why it's so fundamental if you're a woman in business, is if you don't value yourself, you will never be able to create a value proposition in your business. So when you go out there and say, this is what I do and this is why people should pay for my services, we can't do that if we're coming from a place of self-doubt, of I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm worth this much. So it'll be really interesting to tap into some of the neuroscience behind this, but also figure out how we put ourselves in the best mindset so that our business flourishes as well. So I will pop more details in this live in the comments section of how you can get tickets to that event. There are also there's an early bird discount available until Sunday, and there are also discounts available on the general admission tickets if you are a member of the women in business groups that I am also a member of. So if you want to find out more about that, just drop me an instant message and I will let you know what the codes are that you can put in to get access to those discounts. So I hope you're all having a fabulous week. If you're back at work, I hope that's going well, and looking forward to tapping into more. Imposter syndrome has been a topic for this month, particularly as we kicked off summer school this week. And one of the things we were talking about at summer school on Monday night is our strengths and our successes. And it's that time of year where we're already looking ahead of what's going to happen this year, what are our goals, all that stuff. But when we look at what's been and gone, what are we good at? Why have we succeeded? That's one of the main ways of offsetting imposter syndrome. So it came up at summer school. We did a lot of exercises around it, but it's critically important as well if you're a woman in business. So I'll leave you with those thoughts, and I want you to think of one thing that you're good at, maybe that your friends, your colleagues, your peers tell you, And one thing that's gone well for you already this year, it doesn't have to be massive. In fact, it's always the small things, something that's gone well for you, because we don't spend enough time doing that. And when we do, it changes our brain in the same way that gratitude practices work, by rewiring the brain, creating those more positive neural pathways. Our success and our strengths practice does the same thing. And this is so important if we're a woman in business, because so often if people say to you, you've done a great job, I really love what you do, I want to pay for your services, we sometimes feel uncomfortable about that. And if you find yourself waving that away, you'll quickly find yourself in a position where you don't think you have that many strengths or successes, because you've waved them all away. And so when your brain is looking for evidence of what have I done well, it doesn't find any, because you've downplayed it all and waved it away. But also, we have this tendency to think that if we're good at something, everybody else is good at it too. And believe me, if you're an accountant and I pay for your services, that's why. Because you're good at it and I'm not. And there'll be a lot of things that you're good at that other people are not. And that's your point of difference. But we've got to believe that we've got those strengths, and we've also got to celebrate our successes. It's how we rewire the brain. And that is also some of the stuff that we'll look at in the workshop. I hope to see some of you there, and I hope you all have a fabulous long weekend. Mā te wā.